There really are no words to match her talent. It's a gift that's hard to describe, so I'm going to let you hear, see, and feel for yourself. Oh my goodness, Erin Morley is one of today's most sought-after sopranos, performing in renowned opera houses worldwide. She is globally known, but we are so proud to claim her. Born and raised in Utah, she studied violin and piano before earning her Master's of Music and Artist Diploma from Juilliard. Erin's debut recital disc, Rose in Bloom, released earlier this year. It's received critical acclaim. She's a three-time Grammy-nominated soprano, and she most recently performed on the Metropolitan Opera stage in New York City. Because we value a personal resume as much as we do a professional one, I'll add she's a wife and a mother to 2 girls and 1 boy who she says makes her world go round. That might feel like a lengthy introduction. There is so much more from your bio, sister, that I didn't even include. You are so impressive. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to meet you, Brooke.
I watched that little clip, and I've seen other performances or snippets of performance on Instagram and beyond, and you just are a star. What is it like for you to watch that back?
Oh my gosh. Well, that clip actually just happened a few weeks ago.
Yes.
That was very recent. So that feels very fresh. The Tales of Hoffman was such a fun project. I mean, you know, I love performing. It's hard for me to watch myself sometimes.
Always,
but,
yes.
You know.
I want to ask you about opera in particular. I feel like there's this inherent curiosity around that particular genre of music. It feels old soul. It feels very formal, sometimes unattainable. Did you always set out to be an opera singer?
No, I did not. I fell into it. And, you know, my family is very into music. I grew up with a lot of music in my home, but it was all kinds of music. We loved musical theater. We loved choral music. My mom is a beautiful violinist. My dad would sit us on his lap and play songs with us at the piano, jazz, Broadway, everything. And opera was really not part of that until a little bit later. So I kind of discovered it later and kind of fell into it. And it's kind of an extension of musical theater. You know, we here in America, we very much know what musical theater is. Opera is not that different, but it is often in a different language.
Can I ask you, was it more your talent and your voice that took you that direction, or was it your passion and interest that took you that way?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
I began as a pianist, and I studied piano really seriously, and then discovered that I had a voice later on. And it was partly because of musical theater, shows that we did in high school. And I discovered that I had a voice, and it was sort of, my voice lends itself a little more naturally to the classical technique, and so that was part of it. But then I also just discovered this whole world of opera that is all these different foreign languages and different styles that I really enjoyed learning about and studying, and so I fell into the world that way.
So interesting to me, and it is such a marvel to listen and to absorb your gift and your sound. I don't mean to embarrass you. Can we watch one more clip?
Sure.
One more. This is Erin singing the Bell Song with the Washington Concert Opera. That's beautiful and amazing, and just feels so unreachable for anyone who's tried to sing a humble church hymn in their life. You're stunning. You're stunning. You've mentioned that, I mean, you're in high demand, and you mentioned once that in those stressful moments when the rehearsal schedule is grueling and life just flows as a wife and mother and things pile up, that you like to go back to basics to keep yourself grounded and calm.
Yes.
What are those basics for you?
Yes, so I love the life of an opera singer, but it is grueling, and it is, traveling is very hard on your body, and it's hard on your soul sometimes. So when I feel things getting out of whack, and I feel things sort of, you know, losing control and losing touch with the people who are closest to me, we go back to basics. And that means really zeroing in on sleep management. eating well and nourishing our relationships with each other. And on a singer level, I would add to that zeroing back in on technique. That's something that really grounds me and makes me feel like I can handle everything. And so those kind of four things really, they ground us as a family and also me as a singer.
It's an interesting parallel, aside from perhaps technique. They're the things that we often check in our own children. Like, are you tired? Are you hungry? You know, to do that self-check as women or as mothers, I think is so valuable.
Right.
Speaking of women, I imagine to be as successful as you are, you've had some influential women along the way who have helped shape and guide your life and your skill and your craft. Does anyone come to mind?
Yeah, definitely. I've been blessed to have so many really strong role models along this journey. I mean, my mom is such an influence for me. You know, she raised 5 children while performing, and she brought us along the way, and we got to see all of that. And so that really inspired me to be a great mom and also to perform while doing that.
To maintain your level of talent, I know it requires practice. There's coaching. You talked about the grueling travel. There's lots of support. Can you speak to the idea, though, Erin, of personal growth? Because you seem to be someone who's always reaching forward. How do you push yourself internally to continue to progress and grow?
That's such a good question. I feel like when things become stagnant, it's not interesting for us anymore, as a person and as an artist. And so it's not something I really have to push for. It's sort of in my DNA. I feel like I always need to be progressing in order to feel fulfilled as a person. So, you know, for instance, that role that we saw at the beginning, this one here, Olympia, I've sung 3 times at the Met. And in order for that to not become boring, you have to give it something a little different each time. And so I will do something kind of crazy, which is that in each performance I will do different ornaments. I will kind of spice it up a little bit. And now everything's rehearsed beforehand, but there is an element of improvisation in this that I like to bring to the table. And that's what makes live performance really interesting, and it's what keeps the role really fun for me.
I think that's also an applicable lesson to a woman in any industry or zone or just in everyday life, how we can take those mundane, your stage is not mundane, but to your point of doing the same thing again and again, how we might mix it up in a way that is interesting or promotes that creativity or energy. We have a really quick 1 minute left, but I do want to ask you about on the mom front. You and your husband both have busy, successful careers, and you do credit your partnership for making it all hum and work. Can you identify one aspect of that partnership that is key to that family success?
Communication.
Communication.
We just have to always be open about what we need and how we can do the next, 3 months. We have family meetings on the regular. So, in my first few conversations I ever had with my husband, John, we kind of established this as a partnership. And I kind of knew on the first date that he was going to be a full partner with me in achieving our goals as a family and in our careers. So that's really important to us.
Well, it is lovely to meet you and to learn from you. Thank you so much. How can people keep up with your career and next opportunities?
Well, this week I am singing a recital at BYU on Friday night, and I am also singing with the Tabernacle Choir on Sunday.
Amazing.
In the broadcast. And I have a website, and of course, you can also find me on Instagram.
We'll be listening this weekend and cheering you on and saying, we know that gal.
Thank
we do.
you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for sharing
you
a bit
so
of yourself.
much.